This is currently my first video. I'm out here about 10 o'clock at night, just gonna get right into it. I want to cover anything from relationships to sports to world events to, maybe self-motivation or just anything interesting or anything that needs to be talked about, we're gonna cover on here. Currently, this is my first video, so I'm gonna be doing this solo. In the upcoming channels, for the most part, I'm going to be having somebody come on here. I'm going to be talking to people and just covering different topics. But as of the first episode, what I'm going to do today is I want to talk about the UFC. And what the UFC is it's a combat sport, otherwise known as the Ultimate Fighting Championship. Like I said, I hope most of you guys watching the podcast, when I talk about UFC, are going to have a pretty good knowledge about UFC. If not, you can learn a lot. I'll be covering a lot. Definitely the first thing I want to get into is the UFC divisions and the rankings, because we got a couple huge fights coming up. You got Daniel Cormier taking on Stipe Miocic. We got TJ Dillashaw and Cody Garbrandt, the second fight. Okay, so we got two champions fighting each other and two former champions fighting each other. One of them is a current champion, but he was a former champion, and that would be TJ Dillashaw. So let's talk about that fight. We got TJ Dillashaw and Cody Garbrandt. The second fight. For those of you that know what happened in the first fight, Garbrandt got knocked out in the third round, and Cody was doing good most of the fight before he got caught. He was putting the pressure on TJ. TJ caught a couple good strikes, and it set him on his ass at the end of the round. And a lot of you can argue and say, oh, well, if that bell wouldn't have rang off, we might still be looking at a defending bantamweight championship, or champion, I should say. But bottom line is that did not happen. Dillashaw knocks him out in the third round, and Dillashaw was starting to pick it up, coming up in the later rounds. Well, in the later two rounds, the last two rounds, and he started picking it up. And the biggest thing with that is he had so much momentum behind him, and it looked like he was almost positive he was going to win that fight. If you watch we can go back to the Ultimate Fighter this season, and when they were the two coaches about a year ago, so much animosity, so much hate towards each other, and it's all because TJ left the camp. He left Alpha Male. Uriah wasn't very happy, caused a big old beef. I don't really want to get into that too much. We can talk about beefs later in fighting, but the biggest thing is they're about to face off again, and I don't know if Cody can beat him this time. He almost had him last time, but I think Dillashaw is just one of the most hungriest fighters in that division, and I can't wait for Dominic Cruz to come back. But right now, it looks like TJ Dillashaw's going to be taking over, but I don't know. Things could change. Maybe not take over, but definitely win this next fight. So in order for him to win, you got to look back at the first fight. What was his keys to victory in the first fight? Well, he had a lot of good lateral movement. He had a lot of good feints. He was dodging real well. He was moving in and out, and they're both so fast. The level of experience and the level of competition that they bring is at the high. Obviously it's at the highest level. And watching two people fight in that cage, fighting at the highest level, a lot of people don't really think about it too much, but how awesome it is. And Cody's next in line for that title shot yet again after he just lost it. What can he do? And in my opinion, and like I said, guys, just my opinions, I don't think he gets it done. I just don't. I think that Garbrandt goes in. He doesn't really have much time to improve. I don't know. Maybe he does. I don't think he does. He's going to go in. I feel like it's going to be the same result. He's going to come for TJ's head. TJ's going to play it smart. He's going to use his kicks, set up his right hands, work his takedowns, and eventually he'll catch Garbrandt. But it could always go another way. Biggest thing for Garbrandt is, why does he fight the way he fights? And the way he fights is so brutal. He comes right at his opponents. I mean, look what he did to Thomas Almeida. The fight was about 2 years ago, and I mean, he just straight rocked the floor with him. He hit him with that right hand, and it just set him down. I mean, it didn't knock him out cold, but man, the viciousness and just the intensity thrown on that punch was amazing. Took him down quick. He finished the fight. Got his title shot with Cruz. Beat Cruz in 5 rounds. Now, Cruz was saying that he had a foot injury, which could be true. Which Dominic Cruz is my favorite fighter in that division, but he beats him. Moves on to Dillashaw, loses. Just don't see how the second fight's going to be any different. I just don't. So now let's go on to the lightweight division. You got 2 fighters in that division. I should say there's multiple fighters in that division, but you got 2 fighters that are always going to ring an eye in that division, and that's Conor McGregor, that's Khabib Nurmagomedov. We could throw Ferguson in there. Too many injuries, but he might have been more. But he is more active than Khabib. They tried to schedule that fight at least 4 times, never fell through. And now we don't know where that fight's going to be. Bottom line is this. The fight fell through. He's coming back. Can he come back strong enough to do what he's been doing? We don't know that. But we're going to find out. We're going to find out if Khabib can do what he's been doing. We're going to see if Ferguson can come back from those injuries, do what he's been doing. We don't know. But it's going to be an interesting next year and a half. I hope they book Conor, and I hope they book that Conor and Khabib fight, because if they book that fight, for one, I think it's going to break numbers by far. It'll break numbers. It'll break the whole Diaz, McGregor, both the numbers. It'll break that. It's going to break the John Jones, Daniel Cormier. I mean, come on, it's McGregor sells fights. The man does it very well. But does he have the style to deal with Khabib's wrestling? I mean, you look back 3 years ago when he fought Chad Mendes at featherweight. Chad Mendes took him down multiple times. Beat him up on the ground. But that did not seem to stop McGregor. McGregor, he'll get taken down. If he can get back up, he's fighting. And with that pinpoint left hand, there's no telling what he can do. We're going to have to see. It's going to be an interesting fight. So, how do you book that fight? And what's next for that division? You have Eddie Alvarez. You have Dustin Poirier coming up. Kevin Lee needs a fight. Who's Kevin Lee fighting next? Ferguson's hurt. McGregor, as bad as I want them to book that fight, he's got legal issues to deal with in New York. So who do they give that fight to? And I think the answer is Kevin Lee. You got to say Kevin Lee. He's coming off that brutal 5-round destruction of Edson Barboza. Yeah, he got that spinning back kick to the head. Did the funny chicken dance memes, which was, by the way, that was probably some of the funniest shit I've seen all month. But he's still a very, very serious fighter, and I think he has what it takes to beat Khabib. Can he do it this year? I don't think so. I think he might need a couple more good fights, and then I think he's more than ready for Khabib. But we're gonna find out. So that fight's planning out. You have 2 more fights that are gonna be planning out in that division. We got, I want to say Edson Barboza's fighting next. I don't know though. Let's look. We'll take a look real quick. See if Edson Barboza, when Edson Barboza's next fight is, because I want to say it's coming up soon. But anyways, like I was saying, Kevin Lee, he needs a fight. You know, Ferguson's hurt. McGregor's legal issues. I think it's time. I think you got to give it to him. You got to give him the fight he's been asking for, and that is Khabib. So we're gonna look at the next 2 fights coming up in that lightweight division, and I want to say Edson Barboza is fighting again. We'll see right now. I'm almost positive he's fighting again. For those of you that don't know who Edson Barboza is, he's a Brazilian striker. Brazilian. I think his background is kickboxing. We'll see right now. Let's see here. Edson Barboza. Next fight. Edson Barboza next fight. But yeah, don't be. I definitely want everybody to give their opinions. I'm sure I'm gonna get a lot of opinions. I hope so. Like I said, this is my first video. Probably not gonna get that many views on it. If I do, hey, that'd be great. But anything I need, at the most part, guys, I just need feedback. If you can give me some, just tell me what you would like to hear, what you would like me to talk about on this podcast. Anything, I'm open. I'm game. I'm open for anything. Like I said, we got some more cool things coming up here soon. But right now, let's see who's Barboza's fighting next. But anyways, you got to give credit to Kevin Lee. The man's a great fighter. You got to give him Khabib next. You give him, he deserves Khabib next, but I don't think he'll beat him right away next. But maybe in another year he might. We'll have to see. Edson Barboza. Let's see. Edson Barboza. So I could be wrong. It's looking like he doesn't have a fight coming up. Let's see here. Yeah, no, he doesn't have a fight coming up. Thought he did, but anyways, I'm gonna make this video short for the first time. So, but we got episode 2 coming out tomorrow, and whoever watches it, I hope you get something. I know this is very little. I haven't really covered much in this video. Got to get up early, so we'll definitely be back tomorrow, round 2, and I'll be covering more UFC tomorrow. So definitely want to get into the middleweight and the light heavyweight divisions, kind of divisions that are, the middleweight division stacked. Light heavyweight division right now is kind of dead, but we'll see.